To recap part one, we left off talking about Woods, 1994, who had noticed that students forced to take major responsibility for their own learning in a student-centered learning environment go through some of the major steps that psychologists associate with trauma and grief. These included shock, denial, strong emotion, resistance and withdrawal, surrender and acceptance, and finally struggle and exploration, return of confidence, and finally integration and success, where the student understands that they're going to be able to get through the type of learning environment that student-centered learning creates. Students may still be resistant to student-centered learning, and a number of talking points that you might include deal with student-centered learning creating the types of working in collaborative environments that students are going to encounter in the real world and business, and also that students should understand that through teaching and mentoring others that they in fact increase their level of learning much more deeply than they would just from sitting and getting instruction in a traditional classroom. Nevertheless, student-centered learning is not a guaranteed success strategy, and students have a variety of learning styles, and no instructional approach can be optimal for everyone, says Claxton and Merle, 1987. Rounding off the domains, we had the affective domain in addition to the cognitive domain. The affective domain consists of feelings, values, or emotions that can be positive or negative, says Sachs, 1997. Kratwall's taxonomy chart outlines the affective domain in its various levels. The psychomotor domain, says Simpson, 1972, is divided into a hierarchy with 7 levels: perception, set, guided response, mechanism, complex, over-response, adaptation, and origination. Finally, in evaluating the level of learning that students in a student-centered learning environment have achieved, it may be useful to use the SOLO model. SOLO stands for Structure of Observed Learning Outcomes. The SOLO model deals with, on the lowest end, the pre-structural, where students are simply acquiring bits of unconnected information. The unistructural, where simple and obvious connections are being made by the students, but their significance overall might not be understood. The multi-structural, where a number of connections may be made, but the meta-connections between them are missed, and as well as the significance for the whole. The relational level, where the student is able to appreciate the significance of the parts in relation to the whole. And the extended abstract level, where the student is finally making connections not only with the given area that they've been studying, but beyond. So they're able to generalize and transfer ideas and principles that are beyond the scope of what they've been studying, but related. How can a school promote student-centered instruction? Schools can build relationships with students and staff. They can create collaborative leadership environments. Building relationships with students is important, and staff need to be given the opportunity to establish practices that enable adults to know students well and tailor their interactions to meet individual students' strengths, interests, and needs. Rigorous and relevant and engaging instruction and assessments need to be common practice within the school. Preparing students for college and careers is very important. It's important to have relevant curricula, to have inquiry-based instruction and collaborative learning, to have student-directed learning, and to have flexible uses of time, as well as ongoing assessments and performance-based assessments.
Created using Powtoon.